if you'll hit our recording for us. There you go. So welcome everybody to Senior Roundtable. We're really glad that you are here today. And we've got a great topic. We'll talk more about all of that as we go. My name is Laura Steigelman. I have been fortunate enough to be the Senior Roundtable facilitator for the last 16 years. And I know you're saying, that's not possible. She only looks like she's 21. How would they start her when she was just a baby? There's some laws against that. So I am just thrilled. You're going to hear more about the start of Senior Roundtable here in just a second. So if you are willing to put your video on, it is really helpful for networking, people to say, gosh, I know that person's name. I've never seen what he or she looks like before. So if you're able and willing to put your video on during the meeting today, it is really appreciated. Some things about Zoom, again, if you're not living on Zoom, along the bottom is what we call the Zoom ruler. And the Zoom ruler has several different things that we'll be using today for the meeting. You'll see a chat box, and if you want to click that, you can open it up. You can also pop that out. Once it's on your screen, you can do a little arrow and pop that out. I have some stuff on my second screen, so sometimes you'll see me look over there and my chat box is over there. And you can say hello to folks. There's going to be a time that I encourage you to put in any announcements and things like that in that chat box. We will clean that up and send that out after the meeting. So your announcements, who you are, any of those kinds of things you'll get in the meeting email next week. There is a mute. We'll ask if you're not the speaker, if you will please keep yourself on mute just in case you've got that noise behind you that's unexpected. And the mute, you can either hover over your own name or you can use the mute option down along your ruler. And then if you'll please include your first and last name, and if applicable and it fits, you can put your organization down there also over your own little video square. And how to do that, you just hover over your own square. You're going to see 3 dots pop up. One of those things that are going to pop up is called the rename. I think it's about in the middle of that when it opens up, and you can retype that. Mac is our Zoom producer today. So you'll see Mac probably has said hello or will shortly in that Zoom box or the chat box. And in that chat box, he will also put those instructions for anybody who is looking to rename themselves, or maybe you're using someone else's Zoom and you want to put your name there. You've got that there for you. So Mac is there if you need some help. He'll do his best behind the scenes. He'll take care of the chat box for us. And as you know, that the meeting today is recorded and will be posted next week. So for anybody here, is this your very first Senior Roundtable? Show of hands, and there's also a little emoticon on the bottom. Awesome. So glad that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us. And our agenda for today is what is Senior Roundtable. So we'll start with a quick overview of that. We'll hear from our meeting sponsor, Senior Helpers West Jacksonville. Jennifer's here to talk on their behalf. And then if you have any organizational announcements, we'll encourage you to put those in the chat box. You'll have an opportunity to network. We'll head into our program with JHA and Changing Homelessness. And then we will wrap up with door prizes, compliments of our meeting sponsor, have to be present to win, and we'll give away 2 $25 Amazon gift cards. So that is where we are going. So about Senior Roundtable. In way back, actually probably 2006, 2007, Community Foundation got more involved in giving out senior serving grants to those nonprofits in that field. And they started going around town literally to say, who does what? Let's meet you. What do you do? Tell us about your organization. And they realized a lot of the organizations didn't know of each other. So they would be someplace one day of the week and they say, yeah, we get a lot of requests for this, but we don't do that. And we're not sure what to do with that. Somebody a week later would say, we do such and such. And the wheel started turning with the Community Foundation to say, why don't we put something together that people can share what they do and what they can offer, and they can collaborate and utilize each other to the best of their benefits for their clients. So that's how Senior Roundtable started. So we started our first meetings back in 2008. Elder Source was huge. They were on that beginning kind of committee that started the whole thing, how it should look, et cetera. And today, if you are an Elder Source person, if you will please give us a wave. They are still unbelievably key. Gabby does all the emails. They manage the list for us. They do all kinds of things. If we've got a in-person, they are willing to give us their space to use. So really very appreciative to the Community Foundation. Janet, I don't know if you're on this meeting or not from the Community Foundation, but Janet, if you are, as our liaison, please give away so people know who you are. So thank you, big thank you to both of those groups. So we are a coalition of agencies, organizations, and really anybody who is interested. We meet every other month. Most of the meetings are on Zoom. We try to do 1 or 2 a year in person. It is open to anybody who is interested. You get a chance to network and, of course, learn something about a key topic today being Senior Roundtable. And you can see what our mission is down there. It's all about those collaborative relationships. Who does what? Who do I need to meet? Gosh, I've seen your name everywhere, but I've never had a chance to meet you, and hopefully you will today. So this group behind the scenes, and again, if your name is here for any of these folks, if you will give us a wave so people know who you are, for these folks, they are behind the scene volunteers, and they are the ones that say, this would be a great topic. This is something really important to this area. Let's go ahead and put that topic out there. Let's get some great speakers to talk about it. Elizabeth is going to do the official welcome on behalf of the advisory committee. So Elizabeth, you are up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Paulson. I work at JEA. I'm a manager of customer program solutions. About 10 years ago, I found Senior Roundtable. It has been the most incredible place for me to network and meet others and to bring topics to the forefront for all of us to get information about. That's one of the things that matters most to me. When I first came into JEA, we did a survey and found out that what our customers, JEA customers, cared most about, if we had to look at anyone that was struggling to get by, it was seniors. They don't care about the mothers with the little babies and the children that can't pay their utility bill. They care about seniors. And to me, that really tells you a lot about our community. We are being surrounded by people that care about seniors. If you want to get involved with Senior Roundtable, this advisory committee is the place for you to get involved. I guess I'm done. Thanks, everybody.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. So a huge thank you to all these folks behind the scenes. They get totally hit by me many times for emails and what do you think about this, and made these connections to our speakers for us today. So very grateful for that group. If you would like to stay connected to Senior Roundtable outside of our 6 meetings that we have a year, you have several ways to do that. Mac is going to put some of this information in the chat box. Again, if you haven't found the chat box yet, it's along that Zoom ruler along the bottom. You're going to see the word chat, and it will open up a window where you can see lots of conversations going on already. So you can join the email list by letting Gabby know that you'd like to be on that list. And then there is a LinkedIn group, and you can see that there as well. So it's also an opportunity if you have events coming up or you need somebody to collaborate with, something's going on, etc. You can post those in that LinkedIn group. So happy about that as well as a way to stay connected. Each meeting, we ask for someone to sponsor the meeting. If it's in person, they provide a breakfast for us to start the day. And if it's on Zoom as it is today, they also offer up to $25 Amazon gift cards given away at the end of the meeting for those still with us. So with that, Jennifer with Senior Helpers West Jacksonville gets the floor for 3 minutes to talk about her organization as our meeting sponsor. So Jennifer, you are up.
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning. I have set my timer like you asked. So Senior Helpers has been servicing Baker, Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County for 16 years. I've been with the organization for 12. I'm the co-owner and director of operations at this location, and we provide the one-to-one care in the home. So primarily that's usually private duty pay, but we're also a VA provider. And what we've been seeing in our community is a lot of veterans, especially our Vietnam and Korea era veterans, haven't registered with the VA. And there's a misconception that you have to have served 20 years to receive any benefits. And it's not true. If you served at any point, you may be eligible for the VA healthcare portion. There's also some confusion regarding what aid in attendance is versus the VA programs that Senior Helpers supports. And it's the community care programs that are called HHA Homemaker or respite care. So the VA has lots of pools of money to support caregivers. They also have a program to pay family members directly to care for their veteran, depending on that veteran's disability rating. So there's a lot of opportunity to service veterans at home, especially right now when so many people are having the crisis of having to move or afford housing. If they need additional one-to-one care in the home, that's just one more thing that they're searching for and can't be supported in. So Senior Helpers provides the one-to-one care. We have caregivers who are licensed, bonded, and insured. They're professional caregivers. We do all of their background screenings, their driver's license screenings. But more importantly, when we go in to service someone, the name says Senior Helpers, but our youngest client is 39. So anyone over the age of 18 that may have a need for home care, we're able to support them. We build our care plans specifically looking at, their mentation, are they clear? Do they have dementia? What are their medications doing to them? Are the medications going to contribute to a fall risk or rehospitalization because there's contraindications? We're looking at their mobility. Are they safe in the home? When you enter a home, most of us know to look for those throw rugs that move, but is that couch too low? Do they have a hip replacement? Are they able to push up off the chair? How safe are they in that shower? Are they in danger in the kitchen because they have COPD and they're on oxygen and they can't stand long enough to make a meal? So, all of these little things kind of add up to not having great quality of life. And we're looking at those things when we build our care plans. It's super important to pay attention to those little details. I tease my team about being investigators every day. Like, let's go be the best investigator today. What's causing the need for care? How can we support them so that they're here? So that's what Senior Helpers does. I appreciate your time, and I'll be here to answer any questions you have.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being our sponsor. And please, if you haven't done so already, please put all your contact information in that chat box. And then post meeting, if you have anything you want us to send out on your behalf when we send that email next week, we'd be very happy to do that. So thank you again. All right. So we are ready for senior sector announcements in that chat box. If you have something coming out, please put it in there, put all the contact. If there's a website that people need to go to, anything like that, go ahead and put that in there. And what we'll do is we will clean up all the, hi, my name is Laura, things, but we'll keep your, like, who you are, what it is, all of those kinds of things. We'll include that and send it out as a document to everybody next week. So you've got that capture. So, and that suggestion came probably about a year ago. Elizabeth, it might've been you that said, is there any chance, can we get what's in that chat box? There's some great information there. It's like, yes, you can. So we would love to do that. So please introduce yourself, put that in there. Anything that's going on that you think I should know, let us know that as well. And you can do that for the whole meeting. It's not just for the next minute or so. So anything you think of that would be helpful, please go ahead and put that in there and be sure to introduce yourself. So have an opportunity to say hello to each other in person a little bit, meaning virtually, via a networking opportunity. So we'll have a couple rounds. And in the round, you'll be mixed with different people for round one, then round two. If you will please introduce yourself. Where do you work? What do you do if that's applicable? And we have people who attend these meetings that aren't working. They may have a senior in their life that they just want to learn more about this topic. So whatever your situation is, introduce yourself. And then if there's time, a favorite holiday. A little trick, you'll see that Mac, I believe, I have it on the other screen, but I think Mac's put these directions also in the chat box. Once you go into a Zoom room, if you then click on the chat box after you're in there, all those directions will pop up. So if you're like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to? And if you forget all of that and you can't find the chat box, who are you? What do you do? Meet some of those folks in that room with you. There will be a countdown clock, although Zoom makes it pretty tiny, but there is a countdown clock, and then you'll get a minute warning saying that we're going to bring you back to the main room. So take up all the time that you have there to get to know each other a little bit better. You can click on that chat box for these directions if you want. And if there's time, share that favorite holiday as you're doing an introduction for yourself. So with that, and again, if you're willing to stay on video, even in the breakout rooms, again, it's just nice. It's the closest we can come to in person in a virtual kind of situation that we're in. So with that, Mac, we are ready when you are. Again, who met somebody that they did not know from before? Anybody? And some people got to re-meet people that they had in an earlier one. So excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So we are going to head into our program today. Let me do the introductions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screens. Dawn will be up first, and then you'll see the order from JHA. Ms. Corbett may have a conflict, so we may see her or may not, but Layla and Cordelia are completely prepared to share everything that was planning on being shared with us for JHA. So we appreciate that again very much. So welcome to Dawn and the other two speakers possibly from JHA. We're really happy you took time out of your day today to come with us on this topic and share information. So I am going to stop sharing. Dawn, if you have something you want to share, you can. And if you don't, that's completely fine as well. And Dawn, the floor is yours.
All right, I'm actually going to start my little timer so I can tell where we are because I always forget when I start if I don't do that. So for those of you who haven't met me previously, I'm Dawn Gilman. I am the CEO of Changing Homelessness. Changing Homelessness is what's known as a lead agency on homelessness or a continuum of care lead agency. So the agency was founded just over 50 years ago as a very grassroots, very small agency. Our mission had always been to connect people that are working with people. Over the years, we have grown. We were incorporated in 2001, essentially to apply for large, complex federal grants. That is the period when the federal government shifted from state block grants to having a local entity apply for different funding sources. We are the applicant or for the Continuum of Care grant. That is a grant in Duval Clay, Nassau County that brings in about $8 million a year. It provides primarily what we call permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing. And then we also do things like we have a database for the everyone who's experiencing homelessness and seeking services. We also do something called coordinated entry, which means we're out looking for people, talking to people, and connecting them to services that they need to end their homelessness. So on today's topic on folks who are older and experiencing homelessness, I'm going to give you just a brief overview of what is happening nationally. And then I'm going to give you a little bit more information about what is going on in Jacksonville, and then a couple of models that are up and running in the country and things that we can do in the state of Florida. So the first thing is for anyone who's been watching this or works in the elder arena, or for anyone who was working in homelessness, we knew that this wave of elders who were going to be experiencing homelessness, we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming for probably close to a decade. But with many things, the homeless service sector is a pretty small, generally underfunded. I'm sure this is no surprise to anybody at all in the nonprofit world, generally underfunded group. So what you need to know as people who are working with elders is adults 50 plus now make up one of the fastest, if not the fastest, growing segment of people who are homeless. And when I talk about people who are homeless, I'm not talking about someone who's precariously housed or living with a family member. I'm talking about the HUD has a definition, it's called Category 1. It's someone who's literally on the street, in their car, in a homeless shelter, or in transitional housing, meaning they're a place that that they're not legally allowed to stay is the best way to put it, or not fit for human habitation. Many of these folks are becoming homeless for the first time. And if nothing changes, it is predicted that by 2030, the number of older adults who are homeless will have doubled in the United States. So there's many different things that cause all sorts of people to become homeless that are especially prevalent for folks who are older. They're more likely to have fixed incomes, which makes it difficult for them to adapt to rising rental rates that we especially saw during COVID. They're more vulnerable to evictions, elder abuse, and healthcare crises. That's just healthcare and or a health crisis is often something that will push a person or a family into homelessness. And when we talk about elders experiencing homelessness in the homeless sector, we start at 55 because once you are homeless and outdoors, your physical age accelerates faster than your chronological age. So for someone that's been out for a year, they can look and will be biologically 5 to 10 years older than their actual birth date. So a lot of times it's very hard to see or tell the actual age of a person when you're talking to them that has experienced homelessness. So we know this is happening. We know it is growing. and let me just give you the Jacksonville numbers. If anyone gets the Times Union or gets the Times Union feed, there was a story on our point in time count this year. And from the point in time count, I should be talking about how wonderful we're doing because the numbers went down. And they went down for unsheltered for the first time in a long time. However, there have been several things that have been happening in the state of Florida and in Jacksonville in particular, including a state law that made it illegal for anyone to sleep on public land. It has always been illegal to sleep on private land that is called trespassing, but now it is illegal for folks to sleep on public land, sidewalks, parks, anything owned by a municipality or county or state. And in the city of Jacksonville, the sheriff's office, the city is enforcing it, especially downtown, which is historically where our largest hotspot of folks experiencing homelessness has been. That is where the majority of our services are. That's actually the way we build cities. If we're going to have one of anything, we put it downtown. So we have a stadium downtown. We also have homeless shelters downtown. The VA clinic is downtown. Vital records and statistics is downtown. Meals are downtown. So that is a place that people tend to, our bus system starts and ends downtown. So that is a place people tend to end up or stay if they find themselves without a home. So the point in time count has always been, historically, it's been an undercount. However, it is our best like longitudinal look at what is happening historically. The one thing, if you kind of peel back those numbers, you still see one of the interesting things is we're starting to see more women than men, and especially older folks. So as we all know, as people age, women tend to live longer than men. If a couple was able to kind of hold it all together, live independently, and then suddenly the spouse dies, that is often when an older adult will fall into homelessness. In addition to the point in time count that we only do one time a year, we have something called a by name list, which is updated weekly. This is folks we know by their name. They are homeless and they're actively seeking services, specifically housing services. Right now, we have 496 persons that are seniors on our by name list. About 15% of them have known disabilities, and about 14% we know are homeless for the first time. So they're aging into homelessness. We also track our by name list, just like we do anything. We run a database, so we like data and we try to figure out what's happening. So from 2023 to 2024, we saw a 35% increase in seniors on our by name list, and we are on pace to exceed that in 2024. So this is an issue, and this is a growing issue within our community. So what do we need? Like, what is something that would help us as a community address this growing issue? We have nothing within the homeless system that is specifically designed for an aging population. So the first thing, when you read many of the articles, the first thing that's talked about is emergency shelters and street outreach, right? So if you think about, if anyone's ever worked in or visited or volunteered at a shelter, think of the beds there. All the beds are bunk beds. So if you're working with people who are 50 and up, many of them have mobility issues, right? Like I'm 57 and I do yoga and I could probably get up in a bunk bed, but I am not sure I would want to sleep on the top of a bunk bed. So what happens in that case is we've effectively eliminated half of our existing beds for elders. So we need something for those folks. Also within a shelter system, everybody has to be able to do all the duties of daily living. You know, the sponsor is of this meeting is talking about in-home care, right? Like where you can still be fairly independent, but you need help with some of those things. That is not available within the shelter system. It's not designed for it. It's congregate living, and it's difficult to provide those one-off things. We also, if we're looking at different models that have worked well, one of the things that has worked well is in the VA system of care. The VA is unique in that it has its own healthcare system, meaning everything's soup to nuts from, primary care to assisted living and other things are available if you're a veteran through the VA. They have a program called HUD-VASH, which is a combination of the housing authorities, HUD, and the VA medical system, meaning they are combining healthcare, case management, and that long-term housing. That is something that has been very successful in keeping people housed and providing them with the supports that they need to remain independent as long as possible. So what could we do in Florida? Right. So I was joking, I think it was within one of the breakout groups, I had mentioned that I'm going to Washington, D.C. next week. Well, it is very important to advocate in Florida and to our Florida legislatures. It is even more important as you're watching everything going on in DC to know that the majority of the housing funding flows from the federal government. Our friends from the Housing Authority will be talking about that. They, like us, overwhelmingly federally funded. So it is, housing is expensive. When you're working with people who are experiencing homelessness, usually that is the biggest thing that you're paying for, followed by case management and then connecting them to other services. So it is a complicated issue. I am going to just give one example of how complicated it will be and then end before the 20-minute mark. So if we have time for questions at the end, I'm happy to talk about it. So earlier this year, during one of the biggest cold snaps, we started getting these frantic calls from different departments at the city of Jacksonville, from different nonprofits about an older woman who's downtown in a wheelchair outside. Everyone's very concerned about her. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We probably jumped a little bit too early before we were ready for this intervention, but we were able, it took us 4 days to convince her to move off the street and into an ADA hotel room, right? So as we get her in there, she clearly is not able to do what she needs to do to be just whether it's a good tenant, whether it's in a hotel room, being a good guest, right? Like doing the things that we would normally associate. You don't bug the other guests. You keep your room fairly clean for those folks because they're still coming in. She was just not able to do that. And she doesn't want to leave the hotel. She's been offered 4 different housing opportunities throughout the city, but none of them are things that she wants. She wants to be independent. And she is not willing to accept any help either in the hotel or in the in an apartment. So as we're working through this, we do everything we're supposed to, and then we do a case conferencing, seeing if anything is available for her. Is there any stone unturned that we could possibly, something else we could offer her? So this was changing homelessness. This was the city's disability. This was legal aid. This is Elder Source. This is area agency. This is everybody that would have something for her. And what happens when someone has both a mental health condition and is homeless and has physical disabilities and is still deemed competent, and they don't want to go where we think would be the safest place for them? They don't have to. right? They still have that ability to say no. Now, the unfortunate thing is she will have to leave this hotel. And if she goes back to where she was, that is on public land and she can be arrested. And that's something we're trying to prevent, but we also know we have a partnership with the hotel. We can't hurt their business. We have a duty to this woman that she is a very strong woman. She knows exactly what she wants. And we have to respect her wishes also. So this is the conundrum we're finding ourselves in. Um, and we will continue to work to see what other services can we create, can we provide to give people that sense of independence so they're willing to come in off the streets and willing to trust us enough even to do just a general medical check to make sure what they need, they're getting what they need to live the most independent and best life that they're able to. So with that, I will end and turn it over to our next speakers.
Yeah, so Dawn, how much time do you have left on yours?
About 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so let me just ask, if anybody has questions for Dawn, if you will, let me do the quickest thing here. If you will unmute yourself,
I do.
if you have questions for Dawn, and Dawn, if you'll just let us know when your timer goes off, and we'll know that we'll
Oh.
move on to the next speaker. So
You
Elizabeth?
got it.
Hi, it's Elizabeth. Don, would you please speak about the fact that hot weather hurts people more than cold weather? And seniors especially, would you bring that up? Because we were in Washington DC to see Representative Rutherford and several other of our Congress members. And Dawn is brilliant when it comes down to what happens to seniors during this kind of weather that's coming our way.
Yeah, so I mean it's crazy and I grew up in the Midwest. So the fact that we even have cold night shelters in Florida, I find amusing, but we do, and that's fine, and that's good. But heat kills humans way more frequently and way faster than cold. It is seniors are especially vulnerable to that, and dehydrated seniors are doubly susceptible. This is also one of the things that our street outreach is running into as the folks on our streets are aging. When you run into someone who is, we'll use the term I hate, non-compliant, do they have dementia? Do they have a urinary tract infection? Are they dehydrated? All of those things are going to present in a very similar fashion. And in that maybe 5 to 15 minute interaction where you're trying to get some information from them, it is next to impossible to be able to discern that. That's one of the reasons I think it's good that the city of Jacksonville is using Jacksonville Fire Rescue is one of the outreach teams. They're trained for it, right? Like much more than the average social worker or outreach person is. But yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Heat is devastating. You will see us try to do different campaigns and get word out for cooling shelters. We're starting to do that more. And it's the consecutive days of heat. It's when the nighttime temperature does not drop below 70 for more than 3 or 4 days. That's when you're going to start seeing that heat index go up and see more warnings for just people in general to be outside.
Dawn, thank you. And if somebody else has a question, if you will unmute yourself, I'm looking at it and I can see that you have unmuted, and I can call on you by name so you don't feel like you're jumping in on someone else. So if anybody else has a question, Pamela, please.
I do. Thank you. So Dawn, if I have people who call, I work for a luxury senior living community, and I have people who call because online somehow we're affiliated with low income housing and we're anything but. So how do I help people find you? I have encountered people who were truly homeless.
The best way, and this is for if people contact you or if you see somebody like as you're driving around, most people are outreach at changinghomelessness.org. right? If
Okay.
you email outreach@changinghomelessness.org, even if we don't have something for those folks, we too do try to refer them. Just like you all have a network of people, there's about
Mhm.
40 to 50 different agencies in the 3-county area that work with folks who are literally homeless or who are at extremely high risk for homelessness.
Mhm.
It's just, it can be very complicated. There's, I mean, the federal funding is a blessing and a curse, right? Like it is historically has been fairly large and stable funding, and it's got, a manual of regulations that we
Mhm.
must go
Right.
with. We do try to simplify it as much as possible if we're able to help people.
Okay. Thank you.
Dawn, do we have any time left?
We're right at the 20-minute mark.
All right, so
I'm-
Janet's got a quick question, Janet, if you don't mind, and then Dawn, if you can respond as quickly as you're feeling like you can, and then we're gonna move on to JHA.
You
Have
got
you
it.
had any, in the last sort of 100 days, have you heard of any organizations getting funding cuts and at this point?
Okay, I'm knocking on wood.
Okay.
At this point, all of the HUD and the VA dollars I am aware of are still intact. We did get, just as a bright spot, we did get a new award letter from HUD for the Continuum of Care grant.
Okay.
So, and at this point, the electronic payment systems are open and we can do our draws. Yay. I will just say, a lot of people didn't know that the VA, what we draw for our VA grant is also the same payment system that the states draw for Medicaid, Medicare. So when they shut it down, like they shut it down, and that is something to watch. That is an especially scary thing. So thanks for asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, huge thank you for Dawn, and Dawn, thank you for everything that you and your organization are doing. It's just really almost overwhelming, but in a good way of everything that you guys are doing to try to help the situation. So thank you for being willing to speak and to share with us what's happening in that community. I'm going to now turn it over to Jacksonville Housing Authority. Layla, I believe you are up first, and I know you've got some slides to share. And again, Dawn, thank you for interrupting your schedule today to join us. I know you're out of town and traveling and everything else, so we appreciate it. So I will now mute myself. For JHA, you have us until 10:25, and then we'll do the wrap up and give away our door prizes. So JHA, don't even have to worry necessarily about a timer. Just take a look at the clock. If you're hitting close to 10:25, if you finish a few minutes early, we'll go to questions. And if anybody has questions while JHA is speaking, please feel free to put those in the chat box. And if there's time at the end, I will make sure that they know that those questions are there, and I will read those out to them so we can get your responses for you. Okay, so Dawn, if you're still here, there's a question in the chat box if you want to answer it, if you've got time to answer it. JHA, you are up. Might be on mute. See, there you go.
Okay, that will work. Can you hear
There
me?
you go.
Thank you again, Laura. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. I just want to do a brief overview. First, let me introduce myself. Layla Darby, I'm the director for the Housing for Voucher Program, formerly known as Section 8. We're here to talk about a few things in regards to our application process and some of the partnerships that we have in the community, and how the program works. So
So Layla, a comment came in that the sound is a bit distorted. I don't know if you've got a microphone or anything that would, if it's in a different, it says the audio is muffled, is what a couple of folks are saying.
okay, my audio is connected to my computer, so I'm trying to lean forward so
Yeah.
maybe you can hear me better.
I can hear you better when you're leaning forward. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna lean forward and adjust my head, but is this a little bit better?
Yes, I'm seeing some heads nod, yes. And if you, they say, speak slowly. I appreciate that, Joanna. I'm surprised that I didn't get that message from everybody on here as well, because I'm a fast talker, as Seinfeld would say. So, there you go. Layla, all yours.
Okay. So again, I'm the director for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Because we have certain amount of vouchers that were allotted for our area, we have more people applying and inquiring about, the assistance. So we have to do what we call a waiting list. And when the next available voucher comes available, we try to, pull people from the wait list and do what we call a purge to see if they're still interested in needing assistance. So we officially closed our waiting list for all programs on May 31st, 2023. At the time, we had over 37,000 people on our wait list at that time. So we will announce when we open and close the wait list on our website at jxha.org. When we accept pre-applications, we'll advise of that as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of waiting lists and more so how those waiting lists are for our seniors and our elders. For the selection process, when we do pull from the wait list, we have certain criteria that we pull from. We do pull by preferences, and I'm going to talk about the preferences in a minute. And then we use the date and time of application. Any changes to the family composition during the time that they're on the wait list, they can go onto our portal website, to the applicant portal, to update that information, because it is a long wait that they're on the wait list. So if things change, their address change, their contact information may change. So they have an opportunity to go on to Rent Cafe, to the applicant portal, and update that information. Because once we start sending out notifications when they're on the wait list, it kind of goes kind of quickly. So we do have a lot of mail that's returned to us, and we do give an opportunity for them to resubmit. We'll send out something again. If it has that yellow sticker on there to say that the forwarding address is this, we'll send it to that new address as well. So the preferences that we have for the program, if they're disabled, that's 5 points. And these preference points are geared to have them rise to the top of the wait. Again, we do it by preference verification and then the date and time of application. If they're a victim of domestic violence, we give them 5 points. If they're elderly, we give them 5 points. If they're homeless, we give them 10 points. Local residency, 5 points. And we have that preference points because we have a lot of people that apply from out of town. So, if you're in the northern states, we have a lot of people, trying to relocate back down to a warmer climate, that they'll apply. So we want to give the people that's locally here an opportunity first. So we give them 5 points. If they're a veteran, we give them another 5 points. And if it's some type of government action where there's a landlord or owner that had an apartment complex that opted out of the contract with another HUD federal funded program, we'll give them 5 points because they need to relocate as well. So we talked about those waiting list numbers, and I want to show you the wait list numbers that when we stopped taking applications in 2023 and to date in 2025. So for the ACV Section 8 program, Again, when we stopped taking applications in 2023, we had 37,864 applicants on the wait list. So during that time between 2023 and 2025, right now, we did a purge, and after that purge, we're down to 13,694. Again, that purge took place of us sending out notifications to these people that was on the wait list to see if they're still interested to be on the wait list. And if they, decide that they don't no longer need assistance or they got assistance elsewhere, then we remove them from our wait. Public housing is kind of the same. We're not taking applications, but the three different properties that is for elder is Hogan Creek. That's under our rental assistance demonstration. We have 9,295 people on that wait list, and that's only for our elderly. At Centennial, we have 8,166 people on that wait list. At Twin Towers, again, that's the elderly site. We have 1,257. So those are three of the ones that we have for elderly. And those normally don't have a quick turnaround because, again, if they're in those units, then they're not moving. So they, that's a standing amount of people that's on the wait list. We do have different voucher types and allocations. I wanted to share with everyone the allocations that we have for our voucher programs and the different types. For our tenant-based program, which is our regular Section 8 program, we're allocated at 8,383. It do include different types of programs. One is the emergency housing vouchers. So during the pandemic, across the nation, they allowed for different housing authorities to get emergency housing vouchers. In Jacksonville, housing was allotted 196. However, since that time, they're kind of cutting down the funding on that particular voucher program. So if someone leaves that program that has a housing emergency housing voucher, we cannot issue that voucher. So our numbers are slowly declining in that allocation. We have the family unification program. Right now, we're allotted for 103 of those vouchers, and we're heading towards a 100% lease up on those particular vouchers. We have Mainstream. Mainstream is a non-elderly disabled type voucher. We have 100 of those, and we're also heading to 100% lease up of those. We also have the HUD Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, which we call VASH. Those vouchers, we're allotted 577, and we work closely with our VA partners in changing homelessness to get those leased up as soon as possible. We recently received Foster Youth Initiative. That's 25 vouchers, Foster Youth to Independence. So we're working again with supportive services, family supportive services partners to lease those up. We also have what we call the project-based vouchers, rental assistance demonstration, the RAD. And we also have mod rehab and single room occupancy. And those are independent owners that have a contract with HUD, and we administer services for those residents. So again, some of our community partners, for the referral-based partners, vouchers, we have our family supportive services. They help with our family unification program and the Foster Youth to Independence program. And with VASH, we partner with our VA team and changing homelessness, and we meet regularly to try to see if we can utilize all the vouchers we have for the VASH program. So since we're not open for applications, we do get inquiries on a daily basis. And we kind of refer them to what we call affordablehousing.com. That's where we send our regular voucher holders. We may have some partners on there that may have units that are more affordable and go according to your income. We also use floridahousingsearch.org for referrals as well. And we use the Northeast Florida Continuum of Care Referral Guide, which a lot of you probably are on there as well. Community Services 211. I understood someone earlier to say that most of the inquiries that they receive are for housing, but we do send out that referral list to them as well. We have a referral listing of different apartment complexes throughout Duval, Clay County, and St. John. We put the property name, the address, contact number, what types of units that's available, and what's the criteria. The criteria can be where it's elderly only, or they go according to your income, or whatever the eligibility criteria is for that particular housing resource. We try to get that information out because you don't want to turn people away when they're seeking assistance, and we're kind of like at a point where we cannot apply for additional vouchers or anything of that nature. I also give them surrounding area housing authorities, may not be within maybe 2 to 3 hour drive from here, that may can be assistance to them as well. All right, and I think that was all I have for this part of the shop. I wanted to introduce Ms. Cordelia Parker, Director for Resident Services, for her.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And on behalf of our CEO, President and CEO, Sharon Corbett Waller, we do apologize that she was not able to be on the call today. I know she was looking forward to that, but I'm sure she will be connected at a later time with some of your organizations. I am the Director of Resident Services here at the Housing Authority, and our department provides service coordinators to support the elderly and disabled residents that are living in our designated Jacksonville Housing elderly high-rise communities. Ms. Darby just mentioned that 3 in particular are our Hogan Creek, Centennial Towers, and Twin Towers. We do have several others that are located kind of in our multi-family communities, which are Durkeeville, Oaks of Durkeeville, and Brentwood Lake. So those are primarily where the bulk of our elderly for Jacksonville Housing live on the public housing side. The primary goal is to help these individuals in our elderly and disabled age in place with dignity and independence. So we want to make sure that they're aging in place gracefully and to keep from them being prematurely institutionalized. Resident Services Department provides the coordinators that support these residents living in our departments. You can go ahead to the next one. And by doing so, we provide case management services to connect the residents to resources that support them in their daily living, to enhance their social networks, and just make sure that we're providing access to healthy and recreational and health services. We make sure that we are providing programs, educational programs, and services designed to improve their quality of life. Some of those things may be helping them with transportation to their medical appointments, just making sure that they get connected to resources that they need on an individual basis that are essential to them individually, and advocating for them when they are having barriers to access services. A lot of times they are not able to do it, and our service coordinators are there to support that and help them in getting the necessary services that they need. We have a lot of partners that we connect with and partner with in our community. And I'm going to give you a few of them. These are not all of them, but these are some that we deal with more on a regular day-to-day basis. We have partnered with Second Mile Ministry, who assists us with our seniors with technology. So they provide laptops and so forth to some of our elderly and disabled residents to help them navigate learning how to work the computer and so forth. We also refer a lot of our clients to Age and True, of course, for Meals on Wheels, home care, and mental wellness. We also deal with Elder Source on a regular basis for the caregiving resources and home health care, and assisting if we have to have someone that we do need long-term care or placement for. Also, the Center of Independent Living Jacksonville helps us service our residents. We work with Claire White Mission for placement for training for those that may desire training, as well as food services. Feeding Northeast Florida comes to our sites every other week to provide food services, because many of the areas are in food desert areas. So they come out and provide food for our residents. Community Resource Rehabilitation Center, which is CRC, we partner with them a lot to do mental health services for those that are in need of services. And we deal with elder affairs. We also deal with the City of Jacksonville Senior Services Division. We help residents that want to receive training. They go into their foster grandparents program. We have our RSVP, which is the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, and work with independent living with the Senior Services Division. NCBA also provides job training for our elderly or disabled that are interested in work or employment for those that are 55 and older. And we also have Bridge the Gap that provides food and nutrition and also assistance on a weekly basis for seniors that are in need of any type of assistance that they can provide to them. ARP is also provides services to some of our areas. Then we also on the health side with some of the dedicated seniors and devoted, they provide services to our seniors as well. They come out, and to keep seniors from being isolated, they come do bingos and monthly parties, celebrations, education awareness. They help them get signed up for all of their, if they want to change plans and so forth. So American Care, Agape, WellCare, and United Health, all of those we are working with to make sure that our seniors have what they need to successfully stay in their homes. And as Don said, we want to make sure that they have and continue to be as independent as possible. So that's kind of what the whole purpose of our coordinators that work with our seniors in our designated areas. That's what we are focused on for our elderly and disabled. If there are any questions, please feel free. Like I said, these services are tailored directly into their unique needs for our elderly and disabled individuals in our populations of the communities that we serve. Are there any questions? If not, Layla and I will take any questions that you have.
Cordelia and Layla, thank you. Question came in the chat just a couple minutes ago. So whoever feels comfortable taking it. Janet asked, as people are living longer, what is the average length of stay in a unit or a unit rate? So whoever of the two of you would be willing to share your thoughts on that.
Well,
Layla, you,
yeah,
go
from my
ahead.
experience, I do see that, they stay around a little bit longer. As I stated earlier, that's the reason why we have such a long wait list, because the turnaround time for the individuals to move out the unit in order to assist another person coming into that unit, it does take longer, and they're actually there um, until they have to transition to, a nursing home or any other assisted living facility. So, but the time frame I can't really, pinpoint, but I do notice that it does take a little longer to turn those in.
And then a couple questions coming through the chat, and then I've got people who have unmuted themselves or raised their hands. So let me hit the chat one first. Gabby asked, when will applications reopen for Section 8?
Kind of hard to say. Right now we have it back down to a reasonable size. Again, in 2023, it was up to 30,000, over 30,000 people on the wait list. But, during the last 2 years, we got it down to a reasonable size. And then it's also based on the funding. Right now we're unsure of if we're going to have any budget cuts in that area. So if we don't have the funding, of course, we cannot open for new applicants.
And then Pamela had a question, and then we'll go to Kathy and then back to Janet. So Pamela, please.
I just put it in the chat. It's really not even phrased as a question, but it just seems to me that, there's already this expected increase in the amount of seniors in general, and surely more of those of low income, but there doesn't seem to be any immediate assistance for seniors that are currently in need. Is that, am I wrong?
From the standpoint of the voucher size, you are correct. There is a need, regardless of the age of the applicant, just the need altogether. But there's none really specifically for the elder.
So the only choice that they really have is to go to any of the communities that will accept a sliding fee scale and get themselves on that individual waiting list.
Yes, ma'am.
All
And I
right.
did see the service coordinator from Mount Carmel Gardens is here, and she says they have independent living vacancies,
We
which I
do.
thought was.
I wanted to make sure I have her on. We have a affordable housing wait list, and if I could share that.
Yeah, that's most of what, I come up against is not people who are homeless as much as they are low income. We find people who are anywhere from $600 or $700 a month to $1,500 a month.
Right. Layla, while you're looking for that, let me go to Kathy. Kathy, what was your question?
Well, first of all, ladies, I wanted to say thank you to you both for this eye-opening presentation, or at least eye-opening to me. I'm thunderstruck. I feel like something got smacked in the solar plexus. Wow. I realize this is not, that's what we're dealing with. And it's in no way am I trying to sound negative towards your excellent presentations. I'm just wondering if I have a couple of questions. If the drop between 2023 and 2025 from 37,000 down to 13,000 on the wait list, does that mean I was just curious. I mean, some of them were purged. I understand that happens to all of us in our organizations, I'm sure, but how many people got off of that wait list because they got housed? I was just curious. Do you have any statistics on that? And then my second question was, when you talk about referring people to the surrounding area housing authorities, are they in any better boat? Is Jacksonville outstandingly in a bad situation, or is everybody just equally paddling upstream against molasses, as my grandmother used to say?
For the first question, no, we don't have statistical data to show if they were already assisted. The only thing we know is that we sent out notification to them and they did not respond. We sent an additional notification. Sometimes we send them out both via postal mail and email. To try to reach out to them to see if they're still interested. And then if we don't get a response, we remove them from the wait list. But we don't know exactly, we don't get feedback from them to say, I don't need assistance. I already was housed somewhere else. No, we don't have that answer.
Well, Ms. Darby, that means that we don't know how many people of the 37,000 actually did get housing, that we don't know if any of them, I mean, I'm sure some of them did, or, I mean,
Well, when you're looking at that number, you have to realize also that, that number is for maybe one person applying on multiple wait lists, multiple different so that number is high because of that. But once we go ahead and remove them from the wait list, then that number decreased down to what we have now, which is more manageable. And if we come across that we have a lot of attrition now, I can give you statistics on the people on the program that move off the program and become self-sufficient, or they find something else, or they actually are terminated, due to violation of the program. That number is about 30 people per month for our attrition.
Kathy, if
Thank
you're
you.
good, I'm going to move on. We had a couple minutes. We still got a couple questions. Is that all right, Kathy? Are you good?
Sure, I'll table
Okay.
the second question, that's fine.
If it's quick, go for it.
No, the question was if the other surrounding housing resource listings, excuse me, when you refer them to surrounding area housing authorities, if the other housing authorities are any better off than Jacksonville?
They're funded the same. They do get the same funding from the federal government. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I remember
Thanks.
that I did have someone that I referred, and I went on the website to look for them. And that was that Tallahassee Housing Authority. And when I went on there, they were open for application. So it was a good time for me to let that person know to get on their wait list. So,
I see.
yeah.
Then
Thank you.
Dawn has added a comment to that, Kathy, also, is that it's not unique to Jacksonville, sadly, not unique. And then a quick question, and then Janet, you had a question. Layla, people are asking, can they get the list that you're displaying? Is that one of the attachments that you sent me? Yes. Okay, so that's already in this chat box. If you look up to me, go page up on your chat box, you're going to see 2 documents. These are the documents that were sent to us from JHA, and we will include that also in the post meeting if you're not able to grab it and download it. It worked for some folks, other folks more challenging, but it will be in the email that Gabby will send out next week. So Janet, we've got about 2 minutes left. Janet, you're up next.
Yeah, my original question was the same one that Kathy had, but I did have another one. Is there any organization that does like roommate finders for seniors? Kind of, one of the things I noticed in, kids my kids' age is that the way that they get to affordable housing is that there's these like online like dating matching sites where, room finders and things like that. And is there any organization or vetting process that's specific for seniors that we know about in any municipality or anywhere?
Not that I know of.
Layla, can you lean forward a little bit more? I'm so sorry. The computer's not helping on the audio.
Not that I know of. I don't know if there's any. I mean, that's a good idea, and maybe in this form, you can probably maybe something that can come about that we can be aware of to share that information on to our employees. But no, I haven't heard anything like that.
Because now, I'm going to be considered a senior in about 10 years. And so I'm technically savvy, right? Whereas, an 85-year-old or a 95-year-old is not going to necessarily get into an app on finding housing. But as we're leaning and growing into this expanded problem, that might be a resource. I'm not sure if that's a government controlled thing. That there's probably a lot of legal things going on with that and recommending roommates and vetting people, but I just was curious. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
And thank you for
There's-
this whole presentation. This has been amazing.
Hey, Janet, I'll follow up with you. There's a really interesting program. It's small. It's run by a nonprofit out in California, but it's essentially empty nesters who many of us either are or will soon be. It's matching them with transitional age youth, right? Because they don't want to sell the house, but they are willing to support a young person as they launch into their life. So not
Thanks.
elders, but the other end.
Right. Yeah. Well, multi-generational living is actually really helpful, especially if you've got someone young and spry and is going to the store anyway, right? So, oh yeah, let's
Just real
connect on.
quick, just real quick, our community, our parent company, Front Porch, is in California. And I'm not sure if that's who you're saying, Dawn, but it's called Senior Match. And they just came to Jacksonville to our property this week. And they are trying to spread that throughout the country. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program. So if you go to frontporch.org, I believe you can find information about that. And they are trying to spread it further.
And Christina, if you have a minute, if you want to put that in the chat box, I can include that in the notes going out next week. So one last quick thing, Andrea asked, is there a city task force addressing this issue, bringing various community leaders together?
I love whoever said that, but please no more task force. We have plans. We know what to do. This is not a manned mission to Mars. It's just, can we get the political will to put the resources behind it on the local, state, and federal level? I mean, I've been part of many of them. And almost every outcome is we need a goal, we need the money to achieve the goal, and we need to measure progress towards the goal. And that's that I'm not sure a city task force will get you the results you want.
No, I got to
And
echo
then-
what Dawn said because it's the same issue with early learning. We already have done decades worth of studies on what works, what actually helps an early learner, get that third grade reading score up. It's scaling and it's funding.
And then Janelle, you mentioned in there that you work with many properties. Some have little to no wait list. If you haven't put your contact information there, if you would please do that as well. And I'm just going to see if there's one last thing that we can get you out the door, and then we are going to spin for our folks here. Can we host a follow-up presentation on this topic at Senior Roundtable? Always, that if the interest is there, and we can make that happen, absolutely. And lots of good kudos for the information that everybody has received today. So with that, please join me at the round of applause to Dawn and our folks from the Jacksonville Housing Authority for all of the information that you've shared. We wish everybody, including, the folks that just spoke, everybody wishes that we had that magic wand to make that all go away and everybody's got everything they need. And we're so lucky to have those folks talking and everybody else that's involved here today, helping as much as they possibly can to change that situation. So thank you. So we are going to go to our wheel of names for our two $25 gift cards. So Mac, when you're ready, spin away. What do we got? Emily Harris. And you know what? Emily had to drop off. I'm pretty sure she had to leave. Emily, let me give you a second, but she put a note in there saying that she had to run to a meeting and she could catch this later on the tape. Okay. All right, Emily, very sorry. We meant well. I'm sure you would have found something really good on Amazon to buy. So instead, Diana Golden. So Diana, if you're here, wave, shout.
I'm here.
Diana, you're here. All right, we'll find you after the meeting is over. We'll get you connected to Jennifer, who is the one that's giving the gift card away.
Awesome.
One
Thank
more
you.
person. One more person. Maybe we should tell Emily that she won. For everybody here from Elder Source, why make her feel bad? All right, Ellen Hopkins, are you here with us? Ellen, scream, shout, holler. Ellen. Oh, Ellen's waving. Great. Okay. So we are officially wrapping up again, cannot thank our speakers enough. And the advisory committee absolutely made this happen behind the scenes. Andrea thought of the names, everybody else chimed in, people reached out, they convinced those folks very easily, by the way. All of our speakers today immediately said yes, that they would be very happy to be with us. So our next meetings, you can see that on the bottom of the screen. If you join the LinkedIn group, I'll see you there. I'll get you checked in so you can join the group and continue connecting. And sometime next week, you'll get the link to the recording, which we put on our YouTube channel. You'll also see previous meetings there if there's other topics that you want to go back and take a look at. And Gabby will also be sending out everything with chat notes and the attachment that you saw from today. So thank you all very much. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you to the advisory committee. And we really appreciate you being here with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.